What's up, guys? I have a quick coupler off of a 270 John Deere excavator that is wore out. Just a little loose. The faces are messed up on the stick bore. This one isn't bad, but we're gonna make it tighter. There's no damage, it's just a little loose, a little wore out. It was loose enough they welded the plate that the shims go on. This is where it's supposed to sit. You know, if the stick has got plenty of width. They welded the plate on here that the shims go behind. That's also pretty wore out. The little notch that keeps the adjuster from spinning is completely flogged. That hole's not supposed to be that big. It's supposed to be close to that same size. But we'll get set up on it. This one's pretty close to get ready to weld the mounts on, then we'll square this bar to this bar because this one's loose. You know, it's got plenty of slop in it, so we'll get it square to that one, square and level to that one. And then fix them, make them right. Okay, got both bars set up, roughly set up. Gotta pull these cones off and measure and level each of them. I'll have to adjust this one. That one's pretty close because the bore is not bad, it's just not tight. So it's here. We're gonna go ahead and line bore that one, get it tight. I don't think we're gonna do anything with this face here. Maybe just put a shim in there. It's less than 1/8 of an inch out of spec, so I think a shim would fit that hole well instead of machining a face and everything. So, and that'd be a good true reference to get both of them back to. So this one definitely needs welding. It's got at least 1/4 inch that needs welded. This one has that adapter that goes in there, and there's shims that go between the plate and the adapter itself, and it moves the adapter to the stick, so you don't have to put shims in between the stick and this quick coupler. So these mounts are adjustable, 3-set screws, so I can move this into the bar or move that into the bar or both to get it level and straight with the other one. Get a tape measure here and line up the keyways, measure off the keyways, and then I have a digital level to level both of them. I'll show you how to do that too. All right, got the motor set up and the gearbox. I'm probably gonna have to put a bearing here. It's a pretty big span, but we're gonna see if we can do it without one. It's just more convenient not to, but it's probably about 24 inches bearing to bearing. So gonna see if we can't do it, get it cleaned up, and then stick the bore welder in there. All right, we're gonna move over to the other side here. I'm gonna get the clamper adjusted, but okay. Got the bore welder set up. Just gotta bring it over here and get it in position. About a 1/4 inch. I could probably do that in one pass, but I think I'm just gonna make it take 2 small ones and be done with it. And then we'll flip it around and come over to this side. And we're not gonna weld all the way to the other side because there's bolt holes, and from the factory they don't, the pin doesn't have the tight fit on this piece anyway. It's just these 2 ears where the tight fit is. Same thing on that bore back there. You see there's no collar on this side. There's a bolt collar on this side. That's normally not a machine fit. It's just a retaining collar. So get that slid over here. Get that side welded up. Okay, I pretty much got it set where I want. About 1/8 of an inch of clearance there, and there was about 1/8 inch of clearance on top. If you don't go ahead and run a little bit of wire out after you get set, it'll flip. You might be able to see it here. Let's see if we get it to focus right. No, it didn't flip this time, but normally it'll come out and it'll flip and keep coming out. But once you get it set right, and it helps if your lead's pretty well straight too. Come on, focus. Okay guys, next day here. This is cooled off. This did a really good job welding. Gonna probably weld some on the face here. Try to get it back close to size. I don't know if my facing head's gonna fit in between here. I might have to plunge cut it with a tool. This one welded really good. There's 2 passes here. I'm gonna have to do some hand welding back here. It's just the way it happens. But this was 2 passes. I did this in 1. Really turned out well. So I'll go ahead and get my hand piece set up and do some more welding. So I ran the facing head, came pretty close to what the width needs to be here to here with the adjuster in there. Didn't quite clean up. I'll probably spot weld whatever places didn't clean up and hand grind it. If it doesn't turn out like I want it, I'll weld a whole nother pass and run the facing head again. It's not super critical on how clean it looks, just trying to get the width from here to here properly so you can run that adjuster on the stick. The stick needs to be done too, so I got plenty of wiggle room there, but try to get it as close to a spec as possible. It's like 16, just over an 1/8 inch what this width is supposed to be for Deere spec. That one is probably a 1/16 off, maybe an 1/8 inch. I'll probably just put a shim in those. There's no reason to get that nitpicky. That one doesn't take all the abuse. So to make it easier, I changed the origin to 90 millimeter, which is my size that I'm shooting for. And I need to take out 2.5, let's call it 2.54 millimeter. So divide that by 2. So 1.25 millimeter, roughly, is how much the tool stick out needs to be to get my desired size. So I'll advance the tool 1 millimeter, take that cut, measure it, and then advance for the final cut to get my final size. All right, so the first edge isn't gonna quite clean up, a few places, so that's what you get when you hand weld faces. Just kind of have to touch it up every now and then, but we're half a millimeter too small yet, so we'll weld these, grind them kind of flat, and machine it back to size and make that 90 millimeters on the dot. And I got to come over here and do the same thing kind of over here, just a little bit around it to make it clean up whenever I machine it, and then go to that side. So put you up on the tripod here. So we'll switch back over to inch on this one, number 1, because it's bigger than my 6-inch calipers. And it's just what I know, and it's easier, so. So it's 5110, what that measures. And it needs to be it might measure a little bigger than that. Got a little bit of rust on it. 5.110. Yeah, 5.110. So we'll go ahead and make that probably a 5/1000 slip, maybe a 2 or 3/1000. I'm not quite sure. Probably give it 2 or 3/1000. Go like 5.114. Yeah, I think we'll roll with that. And so that part fits in here, and it uses 3 bolts and shims to adjust to fit the width of the stick without having to put shims in between here and not take everything apart, the pin out and everything. You just use shims right here to press it together to get tight on the stick. So we'll get set up and do that. So I welded up over here. These little spots I needed to clean up, and just machined it back again to that same size. And we're gonna check, see what size that was. Probably advance and make 2 cuts, just to keep it light on the tool here so we don't break nothing. So 5.042. So I need to take about 35/1000 cut to get to my target size. So I'm going to divide that into 2 cuts, a 20/1000 and a 15/1000. Start with the 20 and see where we end up, and go with the rest from there. I might do like 25 and have a light finish cut. So after that cut, we're 5.092. So we'll do the math there and take off. It's going to be about a 10-12 cut. Get this cleaned up, and then face the back side. Put a short little bevel on here, that way the piece fits in there pretty good. Clean up the other piece because it got some rust on it. It's been sitting outside from the customer, but get it cleaned up, get this fit, and then we'll move on to another hole. Okay, let's make sure this adapter fits. All right. Let's make sure this fits, and we'll polish this up and make it fit a little nicer. Ta-da. Nice and snug, but not too tight. Now let's take this measurement real quick. So that's just over 16 1/8, which is like spot on for what the spec says it's supposed to be. Yeah, I like that. Perfect. Ta-da. All right, so I think I'm gonna end the video here. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this stuff off and fit the pin just to make sure it fits, but the other side's gonna be pretty simple. It's just cut, weld, cut, clean it up, slide the pin in. So not gonna record that, but gonna go ahead and clean this up, slide the pin in, and give it a thumbs up. So that pin had a bunch of stickers on it when I received it, but it fits good. Got to clean up this with a grinder, make it beveled, similar to that. I don't have the actual tool that I need to make it. It just chatters if I try to do it with anything else. So take it with a grinder, make it, clean it up pretty, take a picture of it, and Bob's your uncle. So there it is, just a little hand grinder action. It's not the ideal way, but without buying an adapter to have a 45-degree tool and taking an 1 3/4 bar, stretching it out to almost 7 inches to make that bevel, and real slow, you can take 5 minutes with a grinder and have no sharp edges, so the bevel or the O-ring won't get cut. And hell, they're probably not even gonna grease it anyway, so what's it matter? So there it is, the main bore on a Deere 270 QuickAttach. All back to hunky-dory. Have to remake this adapter plate and make some shims out of some thin plate. See what we got, but you gotta make that plate to hold that dowel pin so this doesn't spin or it'll just wear out anyway. So we'll get that stuff made, get it put back together, get that board done, the bucket outside done, and that's a job. Thanks for watching.